Have you ever felt too small for the calling God placed on your life? So did Gideon. While his people hid in fear, he threshed wheat in secret, just trying to survive. But it was there, in hiding, that God found him. An angel appeared and declared, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." And that's when the impossible began. From a fearful man, God raised up a leader, and the faith born in his heart would change the destiny of an entire nation. Today, you're about to discover the mystery of Gideon, how God turns fear into strength and doubt into victory. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Let's dive into this story together and see how faith can overcome fear and transform everything around us. He knew there was something inside him, but on the outside, everything seemed far too small. Gideon was an ordinary man, one who would easily go unnoticed in a crowd, yet within him lived the same struggle many face, the fear of not being enough. When the divine call came, he saw only his limits, no strength, no influence, no greatness. And it's within this contrast, human weakness meeting divine power, that his story begins. Many imagine that those used by God are fearless, ready for any challenge. But the beginning is almost always marked by doubt. Gideon looked at the size of his mission and thought he couldn't possibly do it. Still, God called him, and that call became the seed of something that would change not only his life, but the destiny of an entire nation. When the angel appeared and said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior," Gideon was astonished. How could he be called mighty when fear still ruled his heart? But God does not see as man sees. He sees the hidden potential, the courage not yet awakened, the faith waiting for the right moment to bloom. Fear, though it feels like an enemy, can actually be the beginning of transformation. It exposes the size of the challenge, but also the need to trust in something greater. Over time, Gideon learned that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward even while trembling. Faith begins right there, where fear tries to hold us still. When he looked into the mirror of his own insignificance, Gideon thought God had made a mistake. "I am the least in my father's house," he said, as if trying to convince heaven to choose someone else. But God doesn't make mistakes. He chooses the unlikely to prove that greatness is not found in the one who's chosen, but in the one who calls. While the world seeks the strong and the powerful, God turns his eyes toward the humble and the willing. It's within this paradox that faith reveals its strength. When human logic dissolves, the divine takes shape. And in that very moment, the impossible ceases to be a barrier and becomes the stage for providence. Strength doesn't come before obedience. Gideon learned that it is found along the way, not at the starting point. When he decided to act, even while afraid, something shifted within him. Faith began to rise above doubt, and the ordinary man started to become the warrior God had seen in him all along. Whenever God asks for something that seems impossible, there is always a greater purpose. It's not about human ability, but about divine opportunity, a chance for God to reveal his power. Gideon discovered that the smaller he felt, the more room there was for God to move. And in that space, miracles happen. But before victory came, there was darkness, a nation in hiding, afraid and desperate for deliverance. And it was in that moment of fear and oppression that God decided to act. This is where Gideon's true journey begins, where fear would be tested and faith would be forged. Israel was living through dark days. The Midianites took everything, crops, livestock, even hope. The people hid in caves, trying to protect the little they had left. The land that once flourished had become a symbol of oppression and fear. It was as if every seed planted carried the reminder that the enemy would soon come again to destroy it all. In the midst of this despair, God chose someone unlikely. Gideon was threshing wheat in a winepress, a hidden place normally used for crushing grapes, because he was afraid of his enemies. And right there, in the middle of fear and hiding, the angel appeared. That's how God works. He meets people where they are, even when they try to hide from him. "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Those words echoed in the silence of a disbelieving heart. Gideon didn't understand. He looked around, as if searching for someone else who might deserve such a greeting, but there was no one else. The message was meant for him. And faced with such a calling, he answered with hesitation, "If the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us?" His question was honest. The people had cried out for deliverance, yet their suffering never seemed to end. Gideon couldn't make sense of it. Still, God didn't rebuke him for doubting. Instead, he responded with a simple yet powerful command: "Go in the strength you have." And it wasn't physical strength, but a strength born of faith, faith that had yet to awaken. Even so, Gideon asked for signs. He needed confirmation that this calling was real. First came fire from heaven, consuming the offering he had placed before God, a clear sign that his prayer had been heard. Then came the test of the fleece, one night with dew only on the fleece, and another night with the fleece dry and the ground wet. God patiently affirmed each request, understanding the heart of a man still learning to believe. Once assured, Gideon gathered an army of 32,000 men, a strong number, but God said it was too many. "You have too many men," the Lord said, "for I cannot let Israel boast that her own strength has saved her." So began the divine reduction. First the fearful were sent home, then the careless. In the end, only 300 remained, 300 against thousands. The odds were impossible, but God's plans rarely follow human logic. With trumpets, jars, and torches, Gideon's men surrounded the Midianite camp. In the dead of night, the sound of shouts, breaking jars, and blasting trumpets sent the enemy into chaos, and the Midianites turned their swords on each other. Victory didn't come by the sword, but through obedience. The improbable became possible, and the impossible became reality. The fear that once paralyzed Gideon turned into active faith, and the man who once hid in the winepress now led an entire nation. Courage, born from trust in God, had rewritten history. But Gideon's journey didn't end there, because after the battle came the real test. To understand that faith isn't the absence of fear, but the strength to trust, even when your heart still trembles. The battlefield had been conquered, but now the soul had to learn to rest in God's confidence. Gideon's story is not just about a battle fought with swords, it's about a far quieter war, the one that happens inside the heart. Fear and faith are constantly fighting for the same space, and the one that wins determines the direction of life. Gideon learned that God doesn't look for the most courageous, but for the most willing. True strength is born not from self-confidence, but from surrender. Faith begins where control ends. While Gideon tried to understand everything, God simply said, "Trust." That's where many people give up, because trusting means letting go of what you want to hold on to. But it was only when Gideon released his fear that faith found room to grow. The lesson is simple. Fear doesn't disappear. It just loses its throne when faith takes command. God didn't call Gideon because he was strong. He called him to make him strong. That changes everything. Faith isn't a reward for merit, but a divine tool that turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. That's why God so often chooses those the world would overlook, so that no one can doubt that the victory came from him. Too often faith is confused with emotion, but true faith is a decision. Gideon wasn't driven by a spiritual thrill, but by obedience. He acted even when he didn't feel brave. And that's the kind of faith where God moves, the faith that acts before seeing results. Because the miracle happens after the step, not before it. Everyone faces invisible battles. Some fight anxiety, others face discouragement, and many carry pain that no one else can see. Gideon's story teaches that faith means walking even when you can't see the way forward. It's waking up to pray again, trying once more, saying, "Lord, I don't know how, but I trust that you do." Faith doesn't deny weakness, it redefines it. When Paul said, "My power is made perfect in weakness," he was expressing the same truth that guided Gideon. God uses what seems broken to display his perfection. What once caused shame becomes living proof of divine strength. Fear is natural, but love drives it away. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. When someone truly understands God's love, fear loses its grip. Faith is no longer about controlling the future, but about fully surrendering to divine care. It's like jumping, knowing there will be hands waiting to catch you, for we walk by faith, not by sight. Gideon learned this firsthand. Every step he took was a choice to believe, not in what he saw, but in what he heard from God. That kind of faith changes destinies. It's the faith that defies logic, that walks through darkness, trusting that light will come at the right moment. Faith doesn't erase fear, it conquers it. That's the core of Gideon's journey. God never expects anyone to be completely fearless. He just asks that fear not have the final word. And that's where transformation begins, when the heart decides to trust, even while trembling, and the impossible begins to turn into the inevitable. Maybe you're in the middle of a silent battle right now. No one sees it, but you feel the weight every single day. It might be a problem at home, a prayer that seems unanswered, or a dream that feels too far away. The truth is, everyone faces moments like this. And it's exactly in those times that God calls you to trust, even when fear is screaming louder. God doesn't wait for you to be fearless before he acts. He moves right in the middle of your uncertainty. True faith doesn't start when everything is fine. It starts when your heart chooses to take a step, even while trembling. And when you do that, something shifts inside you. The fear might still be there, but it no longer controls you, because God begins to take that place. Go in this, your strength. Those words weren't just for Gideon, they're for you too. That strength isn't physical, it's spiritual. It's the energy that lifts you up to pray one more time, to believe again, to take another step even when you don't see the whole path. That's when the impossible starts to move, even if you can't see it yet. Faith isn't a feeling, it's a choice. Don't wait to feel brave before you begin. Start even without courage. Gideon didn't wait until he felt ready. He simply obeyed. And the same goes for you. Act by faith. Forgive the one who hurt you, even if you don't feel like it. Start that project, even without all the resources. Trust that when you move, God moves with you. When you decide to walk by faith, fear loses its power. That doesn't mean it disappears, but it stops leading your steps. It's like driving in the rain. You might not see the whole road, but you still keep going. That's what faith looks like, walking in trust, even when you can't see far ahead, knowing God is the one steering. In seasons of waiting, faith matures. It's when nothing seems to happen that God does his deepest work. Learn to trust even in silence. Pray but also rest, because his silence is never absence, it's preparation. He's shaping your heart so that when the answer comes, you'll be ready to receive it. When you live by faith, you start to see God in the details. He speaks through simple things, a word that brings peace, a door that opens at the right time, a friend who shows up just when you need them. These small signs are reminders that he's never left you. And when you start to notice them, fear starts to lose its meaning. Every step of faith you take is a seed. It might seem small now, but it will bear fruit in its time. Don't give up in the middle of the process. God works in silence, but he's never still. Even when nothing changes on the outside, he's transforming everything inside. And that's where the miracle begins. Gideon's story proves that fear can be conquered. And the same is true for you. It all starts with one step, a sincere prayer, a single act of trust. When you truly surrender, fear turns into mission, and mission turns into miracle. And that's where your story begins to change. Now take a deep breath. Close your eyes for a moment if you can. Silence the noise around you and listen to what God wants to whisper to your heart. He's not distant nor indifferent. The same God who found Gideon hiding in the winepress is meeting you right here, right now, in the middle of your struggles, doubts, and fears. Lord, teach me to trust you even when I'm afraid. That can be your prayer today. Because trust isn't about what you feel. It's about what you choose. It's saying, even trembling, I believe. Even weary, I keep going. And it's in that sincere, simple surrender that God begins to move. It's not the absence of fear that touches God's heart, but your willingness to trust in spite of it. He's not asking you to be perfect. He's asking you to be present, to open your heart and say, I don't understand everything yet, but I trust that you are with me. That kind of trust is the first step toward freedom. Maybe you think God has forgotten you, but he never forgets. He simply works in silence, shaping your heart before changing your circumstances. And at the right time, the same God who heard Gideon will act for you too. What feels like despair today will become testimony, and what feels like tears will turn into joy. While you pray, something invisible is already happening. God is moving pieces you can't see yet. He's opening paths, restoring relationships, healing wounds. So pray with faith. Speak to him honestly. You don't need fancy words, just truth. He listens to sincerity far more than eloquence. Lord, let your strength be made perfect in my weakness. Make that your declaration. Let go of control, trust the process. When Gideon did that, everything changed. He didn't become strong because his fear disappeared. He became strong because he learned to walk even while trembling. And that's exactly what God wants to do in you today. Faith begins with small gestures. Maybe yours is a prayer right now, or a simple decision to forgive, to start again, to ask for help, to believe one more time. Don't underestimate the power of one act of faith. It's through that step that God builds the impossible. What seems small to you is too great for heaven to ignore. God is calling you just as he called Gideon, not because you're strong, but because he wants to show his strength through you. And when you say yes, fear starts to lose its grip. Because where God's presence abides, peace becomes inevitable. So close your eyes once more and pray, Lord, I trust you. Even when I don't understand, I trust. Even when I'm weak, I believe. Turn my fear into faith and my faith into purpose. And as those words leave your lips, know this, God is listening. The same God who heard Gideon hears you now. If this message touched your heart, it's because God wanted to remind you that he still speaks, and that you can still hear him. Gideon's story isn't about a distant hero. It's about someone just like you, someone who doubted, who was afraid, but who chose to trust. And that same faith can transform your life just as it transformed his. It doesn't matter where you are right now. God meets you right there, in your routine, in your pain, in your silence. He's still calling, still believing, still saying, I am with you. You are not alone. And when that truth settles in your heart, fear loses its grip and faith begins to bloom again. Share this message with someone who needs hope today. It could be a friend who's discouraged, a family member who's lost faith, someone who just needs to hear that God still does the impossible. One word can change an entire day and maybe an entire life. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you can keep growing in faith. Each video here is a new seed, a new conversation, a new step on this spiritual journey. Together, we'll spread the word and strengthen hearts. Because shared faith is multiplied faith. When you join this community, you're not just watching, you're becoming part of something bigger. You're helping to bring light to those who need it. That's ministry. Gideon won with 300 men, and you're part of a new army of faith, ready to inspire others to believe again. Remember, the same God who heard Gideon still hears you. He hasn't changed, and he never will. He continues to transform lives, heal hearts, and strengthen the weak. And every time you choose to believe, you give him room to move. Faith is alive when you put it into action. So take this message into your week. Pray before you act. Trust before you see. Believe before you understand. And you'll see the impossible happen. Not because you can do everything, but because God can do everything through you. Fear might try to return, but now you know. Faith conquers it. When it shows up, remember Gideon. Remember that God turns the small into mighty and the uncertain into brave. You've been called to live with courage, and that calling still echoes today. The God who called, guided, and strengthened Gideon is the same God who's with you right now. And when you rise in faith, He will lift you in victory. May this truth stay with you, inspire you, and transform you. Because the miracle hasn't ended, it's only just begun.